Welcome to KB Top 5s. Today we're going to be talking about 5 scary Reddit stories. Number 5. The Writing on the Wall by Erlen J. A young boy laid sleeping in his bed when he heard footsteps outside his room. He peeked out of his eyes to see what was happening when his door swung open to reveal a murderer carrying the corpses of his parents. After the killer silently propped them up on a chair, he wrote something on the wall in the blood of the dead bodies. He then hid under the child's bed. The child got scared beyond belief. He couldn't read the writing on the wall, and he knew the man was under his bed. Like any child, he pretended that he slept through the whole thing and hadn't woken up yet. He laid as still as the bodies. Quietly hearing the breaths from under his bed, an hour passed, and his eyes got adjusted to the darkness. He tried making out the words, but it was a struggle. He gasped when he finally read out the sentence. "I know you're awake," he read as he felt something shift under his bed. Number 4. The Devil by Alicia 091. I always had a problem with sleeping growing up. Many times I get sleep paralysis, but after I bless my room, it hasn't happened in months. This happened to me about a year ago. I woke up in the middle of the night frozen. If I tried to move, I'd get a really loud ringing noise in both my ears, and it would get louder each time I moved. I was terrified. I was too scared to open my eyes, but I felt a presence of someone in the room with me. My room isn't completely dark because I have a small blue nightlight. I open my eyes and see a very tall and dark figure with 2 horns on each side of his head, just standing there, in the corner of my room facing me. I panic and try to move my body, but the ringing gets louder and louder and louder. I can feel myself crying. I close my eyes and in my head, I start saying, "God will protect me. God will protect me." Then, I hear a low, evil voice say, "God can't help you anymore." Number 3. The Paper Airplane by Basement Writer. My bedroom was upstairs. I had a good view from my window to see the new neighbors move in next door early in the morning. There was a man and woman carrying boxes into the house. They must have been a couple. My eyes traveled to the neighbor's vacant upstairs bedroom window, which was directly across from mine. It was open, and inside was a girl who looked about my age. She saw me, and mentioned for me to open my window, so I did. She leaned out of the window, curved her hand around her mouth, and whispered to me, "Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah." I laughed. "Nice to meet you, Sarah. I'm Sam." She smiled. "Keep your window open," she said, and moved out of sight. I was confused. "Keep my window open." She returned with something in her hand, then tossed it over to me. It was a paper airplane. It slowly and gently made its way through my window onto my floor behind me. I walked over and picked it up. On top was written, "Open." I opened it and there was a message, "Hey Sam, I'll come over tonight and introduce myself." I thought it was a bit strange and wrote back, "Come over tonight? What do you mean?" I turned around to toss it back, but she wasn't there. The window was still open, so I tossed it in anyways, thinking she'll reply sooner or later. It was late into the evening and still no reply from Sarah. My mom invited the new neighbors over for dinner. I figured this is what Sarah meant by coming over tonight. "Honey, come down for dinner," my mom shouted. I went downstairs into the dining room to sit on the table, but I didn't see Sarah, just her parents. I couldn't help but ask, "Where's Sarah?" The man and woman stared at me as if I said something out of place. "Excuse me," the man said. I repeated myself, "Sarah, your daughter." The woman put her hands covering her mouth. Tears flowed down her face. The man said, "Our daughter died a year ago in an accident. I don't know what you're up to, but that's enough." They both left the house immediately. Mom glared at me. "Why would you do that, son? Just go to your room." A flurry of confusion was spinning in my head. I couldn't speak. I made my way back to my room, turned on my light, and laid on my bed. Then a paper airplane flew through my window. Elegantly landing on my floor, I picked it up and looked out my window. Sarah was standing in the darkness of her room. My heart was pounding. She moved closer until the moonlight hit her face. Her eyes dark and skin gray. I looked down and read the message. "Behind you." My lights flickered off. The floorboards behind me squeaked. A dark whisper into my ear. "Sam." Number 2. Mirror Entity by Paranoid Letters. No one believed me when I told them that my reflection in the mirror was alive. "Grow up, dude. You're not a 5-year-old, you're 24. Well, I had to admit, it indeed sounded like a typical fear a 5-year-old would have, but I swear to God it was true. I couldn't remember since when my reflection came to life, but I remember that it wasn't like that when I was a child. It was recently, I was sure. And it wasn't a ghost. Well, true reflection was alive, looked like an act of a ghostly thing, but no, mine wasn't a ghost. It felt to me as if it was a creature, an entity, who lived behind the mirror, or trapped in there. I couldn't tell why or how. What I could tell was my reflection was constantly trying to grab me, as if it were going to pull me inside the mirror while jumping out. Nope, that wasn't going to happen. Ever since I realized that my reflection was alive and constantly trying to grab me inside the mirror, I always did my best to keep my distance from reflective surfaces. Like when I brushed my teeth every night, for example, I always stood a few meters from the mirror, so it wouldn't be able to grab me. The entity in the mirror was constantly showing a grumpy and angry face every time it was just the two of us in the room. No matter how much I tried to smile in front of the mirror, the entity behind it never smiled, ever. It always looked grumpy and angry. One day I took off from my flat for a sightseeing in the mall nearby, when suddenly an earthquake occurred. It was a huge one. Everyone was hysterical. They were running around in panic, looking for shelter. I ran to cover myself under a table to avoid getting hit by anything that fell, but I was too late. I didn't realize something fell from above me and hit me in the head. I fell down and I groaned from the pain. As the pain slowly faded, I started looking around. The earthquake had stopped. The mall was slightly dark, the light was out, and it was messy in there. I gasped when I noticed something shining not far from me. I turned my head and I saw a mirror, probably from the fitting room near me. As a reflex, I crawled away as far as I could, even though my head and legs were hurt. Right there and then, I saw my reflection in the mirror. For the first time in forever, I saw the entity behind the mirror smiling at me, a devilish smile. A sense of horror gasped me as I saw the entity waving at me from behind the mirror, as if it were saying goodbye, for good. Number 1, The House with Mark Dorris by No-Tell. When Mom and Dad bought the house, they thought the brown scratches on the bedroom door were from a dog, but when they spoke to the agent, he said the previous owners didn't have a dog. Mom and Dad replaced the doors, but after the 3rd time, they gave up, as the dark scratches always returned by the next morning. My parents discarded it as something to do with the quality of the wood in the area. Dad said he'd order new doors from out of town come to the end of the month, but I couldn't wait that long. One night I decided to stay awake and find out the truth. I turned off all the lights, laid in bed with the pillow in towards the door, and covered my face with a blanket, leaving a small crack. Things were quiet for the first hour after 12. I thought about going to the bathroom just after 1. If I decided to go and scared the thing away, then I'd waste hours of sleep. I fought against my bladder and waited. At 2, I heard the first noise. It sounded like something being scraped away, as if someone in the next room worked at the wall with a screwdriver. I held my breath and listened. It lasted for 20 minutes, and by that time I knew something was definitely there. My heart pounded in my chest. I felt like running, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself unless I knew the truth. The sound stopped and started in intervals. I thought about checking on Mom and Dad, but judging by the other nights, no one would be hurt. Whatever made the scratches was only interested into the walls. And if I waited long enough, maybe I could catch the culprit. My patience thinned as each minute passed. My bladder throbbed, threatening to burst. I gritted my teeth and squashed my knees together. Just after 3 a.m., the sound came again and closer. I could see a shadow moving into the darkness of the hallway. The thing, whatever it was, stopped just steps away. It scraped at Mom and Dad's bedroom door, then it moved toward mine. I readied my hand for the light. The creature worked at my door, each scratch like chalk on wood. It sounded hungry as if it devoured the grooves. My heart pounded in my chest, my ears, the back of my head. I wanted to move, but fear held me still. The dark thing shifted along my carpet, breathing in between the screeching sound of it scratching the wood. It was now or never. I shot up and flicked on my light, and then cried as I fell back onto my bed. Mom and Dad scraped at my bedroom door, their eyes blank, nails rimmed with blood, and their mouths squeaking soundless words. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. If you have any scary stories or ghost stories, please email me at kbmurders@gmail.com.